I am one of the many queer educators employed by Leon County Schools. I came and I spoke at the last board meeting. I shared my experience as both a student and an employee of Leon County Schools. In that meeting, I expressed my concerns for the protection of LGBTQ plus spaces in our school system, and I followed this with a request for representation from our LCS GSA and the queer community on the committee updating these policies. I was pleased to see that a member of the LCTA Social Justice Committee was added, but I do not feel that this is enough. All of us in the classroom can speak to the drastic change in school culture over the last 3 years, and for me it feels like absolute night and day. I have heard more anti-LGBT sentiment in my school setting and from our parent base this year than I ever have before, and it saddens me to learn from my colleagues that my experience is not unique. There's currently a bill making its way through the legislature that limits what our schools can say and teach regarding the issues related to students who are part of this LGBTQIA+ community. This bill would make it difficult for queer teachers like myself to show up as their most authentic selves in the classroom. Vital and life-saving organizations like GSA would not be able to exist on our campus if this bill passes. While I understand this legislation is not under your jurisdiction, I believe there is so much more that we can do to protect our queer students, teachers, and allies. Not only does this include the addition of GSA sponsors on the committee, but the removal of those who have no business being there. The local chapter of Moms for Liberty has scheduled a rally to support this bill that I previously mentioned, and it frustrates me to no end that members of this organization who are blatantly anti-LGBT seem to be invited to the table for this discussion, especially when that table is severely lacking in proper representation as it stands. While I understand that the purpose of this committee is to find a way for us to move forward, there is no compromise to be found with people who seek to censor educators like myself and rob students of those safe spaces to exist as they are in the classroom. I felt compelled to return tonight on behalf of educators who do not feel comfortable speaking at these meetings. Based on communication that I have received from those educators, there are many more of us out there than you even realize. Nobody is talking about us, but we are here. And this affects us too. Before I leave, I would like to talk to you about some of the communication I received from other teachers, but unfortunately, many of them were afraid of me even saying that they had comments on this topic for fear of loss of job or retaliation from groups in our community like Moms for Liberty. But I did grab 2 statements from my colleagues I'd like to read for them on their behalf. One of my colleagues says, a GSA here in Leon County and my supportive teachers saved my life because they made me feel comfortable and that I belonged, even if at times that felt contrary. This was years before there was even a counsel or a guidebook, and the teachers naturally had the empathy to help me. Another teacher said, my principal made me cry today. She offered her support and said, I would never ask you to change or hide.
Time. Thank you for your comment. Next speaker.